Buckle up, baby.
Punch it, I'm Jacob, and welcome to Lightspeed. And before I say anything, before I introduce my friends on the podcast with me today, and kind of explain what happened to the previous podcast, I want to say this. Today, it's usually pretty easy to kind of block out the hate that you get online, just by vocalizing opinions with Star Wars or really any fandom. Usually I just try to like push it aside, but today it just kind of got to me. You know, I was feeling down. It wasn't really great, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I'm just a guy trying to talk about Star Wars. And the more I really thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? No, that's exactly right. I'm a guy trying to talk about Star Wars with my friends. So despite all the hate, I'm going to move past that, and I'm going to introduce you guys to the people that are on the podcast with me today, who I'm very excited to talk about Star Wars with. So first up is Logan. Say hello, Logan.
Hello there. How's it going?
And I'm also here with Hannah.
Hey.
Cool deal. Links to both of their Twitters will be down in the description below, but we've all been friends for quite some time now. And the cool thing is, and the reason why I wanted you guys to co-host this podcast with me, and I have another friend, Hunter, as well, who is probably going to be a co-host on this as well, but unfortunately he couldn't make it today. So
He's being a good Samaritan, donating blood.
he's donating blood, so he's got a good reason. He's got a good excuse.
They're making a
but-
clone of him, actually, in Exegol. So that's what he's doing right now.
He's making an army. Can you imagine that? Like
Yeah.
a bunch of Hunter bots just pop into like
Oh
the
my
next
God.
time we try to record one of these things. No, but
Yeah.
he'll probably be on the next episode or maybe in a few episodes from now. We'll see. But the reason why I wanted to have all of you guys co-hosting this new podcast with me is because we actually all became friends by talking about Star Wars online. Had it not been for Star Wars and our mutual appreciation for it and the characters and the stories that we love, we maybe would have never met, which is crazy to think about, because I consider both of you to be some of my best friends. On top of that, you might be thinking, the person listening to this, maybe on their way to work or back home, or maybe you're just listening to this for fun, you might be
Folding
thinking,
laundry.
Jacob, maybe you're doing a household chore and doing something productive. I know when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm usually not, but maybe that's you. But you might be thinking, Jacob, didn't you already have a podcast on the channel? And the answer is yes. However, there were a few problems with it. For one, there were no defined co-hosts, so because of that, people were kind of like jumping in and out every week, and it was me trying to figure out who's going to be on this week, who's not going to be on this week. But now that I know that it's going to be pretty much us every single time, and if one of us can't make it, like Hunter can't make it today, it's okay, because I know that I've got two other people who can be here. And even if Hannah wasn't here, then Logan and I could still record and talk about whatever we wanted to talk about. So this makes it a lot easier to just kind of restart. If you do want to listen to any of those old podcast episodes, like maybe you're like, man, like I really wanted to listen to that one, you still can. They're just exclusive to channel members now. So the Lightspeed cast is still there, and the Lightspeed cast technically does still exist, but now we're rebranding to a new podcast known as That's Just Crait, because we want to talk about everything Crait about Star Wars.
Still, we need to work on that.
Oh.
Listen,
The
I thought,
name's good. We just need a different tagline.
Yeah.
we'll
the
figure,
puns,
I feel like we,
the puns need some
go
work.
ahead, Hannah. I feel like we had one the last time that we tried to record one
Yeah.
of these, but
Oh, yes.
unfortunately we have a debut episode that I guess now is lost media, because I don't want to name names, but someone whose name rhymes with makeup forgot to download the audio, and the software that we use to record allows us to download audio until 7 days, and I may or may not have forgotten, or whoever makeup is, I don't know. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but whoever they are forgot to download it within that time frame. So technically, this is our second episode, but it's our first episode. We're redoing it, so
We'll
we're
just
gonna
call
make
it
it
our,
bigger
like,
and better than
our
ever.
unaired pilot, you know?
Facts.
The unaired pilot.
Pretty much, it was so good that
But it's lost
I
forever
allowed
now.
it. listen, it might be gone, but it's in our hearts forever. Okay, you know. And
It's
listen,
okay.
it's now we can make
I'm
it.
more awake this time.
That's
Now we
true.
can make it even bigger and better, like I said. So I think that we can do it because now we
Exactly.
know exactly what we're trying to do and exactly what we're trying to talk about. So I think I think that we're in for a win here. But I feel like I'm the one yapping here. So Logan,
Yeah.
do you want to kind of explain what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah. So I guess we're all just gonna sort of talk about what is going on with Star Wars at the moment. We don't really have like a defined like checklist of things that we want to talk about. We're trying to keep this more casual than Lightspeed Cast was because it felt like it was a sort of a round robin thing where all of us were sort of having to take turns and there just wasn't a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
time to say exactly what we wanted to say because it felt like we were all preparing to get them out at once.
It was like
So I guess
school.
we're gonna no, literally, it felt like we were like,
Yeah.
going in a circle, basically talking about it. And like, if you didn't say, like, if you got a talking point that you didn't bring up, then you're never gonna hear from it
Well,
again. But that's not how we're gonna do it here. We're gonna keep it more casual. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess we're gonna start by talking about what's going on with Star Wars. Like, we're in a very, I would say we're in a really good place right now in terms of like the content that we're getting.
Oh yeah.
Um, but my current thing that I'm doing at the moment is I'm doing a full timeline watch through of everything from The Acolyte. I probably should have started with Young Jedi Adventures. That's on
Mhm.
me. Um, I want to do an entire canon watch through. So I started with The Acolyte and I'm going to go all the way to Rise of Skywalker. And I'm going to include TV shows, cartoons, shorts. I'm watching Forces of Destiny. I'm going to play the video games as well. So I'm going to play Jedi
Ooh.
Survivor, Fallen Order, Battlefront, Squadrons, if people still remember that that was a game.
I didn't realize you were doing
Um,
Oh
that too.
yeah, no, I'm really trying to absorb it all because I've done like I did like the May 4th marathon, um,
Yeah.
like where it was
yeah.
like all 9 movies and stuff, and that was really cool because you got to see like the rise and fall of the Empire, and I was like, I really want to see the like subtleties of it, and like seeing like all those characters come in and out, and just like really absorb all that it can. And it
Yeah.
started when I was doing when I was playing Star Wars Outlaws,
Mm.
because it was set between episode 5 and 6, and I think this is the first time we've ever had anything really set during the original trilogy. And then I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to see how this fits in the timeline. And I was like, let me just try like all the games and stuff. But yapping here now. Um, I'm in the
Listen,
middle. Yeah, go ahead.
we would rather have that than what we had before, in my opinion. So I think
Yeah.
that this
Yeah,
is actually kind of perfect. But I didn't even know, like Hannah said, I didn't even know that you were doing the video games with it too. I thought it was
I
just like
am.
the shows and movies and like that was
No,
it.
I'm
Mhm.
so excited for it. I'm excited for once I hit Return of the Jedi, to be honest. Or honestly, like,
My fave.
uh, playing. I know, right? I think Return of the Jedi is gonna hit the hardest it's ever hit once I'm done with this, just because
Yes.
like literally everything, and there's so many subtle moments that I can talk about. But um,
Mm-hmm.
what I love, or like what I'm excited for, is the early days of the Empire, going from like Fallen Order to like Obi-Wan Kenobi to
Mm.
Solo to Jedi Survivor, because I think all three of those take place in the same year, and it's gonna be like really interesting to
That's
see like what the
wild.
Empire is up to and stuff. I know, like it's a
Yeah.
very very bad year for the Empire if you ask me, um, but it's gonna be fun. Right now, I'm in the middle or the tail end of season 4 of the Clone Wars, which we talked about it briefly in the pilot episode, but I am not the biggest fan of the Clone Wars. Controversial, I know. And I thought that was
Hater.
just like a listen. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. And I'll briefly mention this again. You can argue with me if you want. Argue with the wall, actually. I think that the highs of the Clone Wars are peak. Like the Umbara arc in season 4 is incredible. But the lows for the Clone Wars are like almost unbearable to me.
Mm.
What was I watching in season 4? Oh my god, it was like, oh, the Waterworld arc, like the Mon Cala battle thing.
I
This may be a
enjoy
controversial
that
take. I
arc.
did not like it much at all.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Hold on
Sorry
there.
to say, I enjoy it. The little
I
Mon Cala
love that
prince.
arc.
What's his name?
Princely Char.
Yes. Love him.
I
No,
I was just
dude, you
craving
got
sushi the entire time. It was
no, not sushi,
I didn't
Logan.
enjoy it until the last episode. But like the thing is, like I'm forcing myself to watch it in chronological order, and
Mm.
it's pretty good because right
Speaking,
now you were saying.
I was gonna say, speaking of Mon Cala, I saw that Sawyer is doing her biology of Star Wars like creatures thing. Moncala would be a good one for her to do.
What was she doing? I haven't heard about that.
She is posting videos and she's like describing the biology of different Star Wars species. So like she did the Gungans. I just saw a video where she did them and she was like, "Give me recommendations," but the Moncala would be a really good one.
Moncala would be so sick. And
That would
like
be
seeing
actually
like,
really cool.
because the Quarren are also native to Moncala, right? Is that what
Yeah,
I got from that?
Yeah.
I
It'll be
think
cool to
so.
see like if there's like evolutionary differences, but
But
yeah,
anyways,
I'm in the tail end of the Clone Wars season 4 right now. The Separatists are invading Dathomir, and it was really sick because in the middle of this arc, in the timeline becomes episode 1 of Tales of the Empire. So now I got introduced to Morgan Elsbeth, and it's really cool because Morgan doesn't come back until like I think in the middle of Rebels. I think maybe like around like the Bad Batch and stuff.
mm,
But I was talking to Jacob before we started
Mhm.
recording. It's going to be really cool because Morgan is such an integral character in the Mandoverse. So like seeing her just like sporadically throughout the timeline is going to be like really interesting to see. Like it's almost like you're checking in with characters and like like you're just getting like a little like window into like where they're at and stuff. And that's what's been like really fun with this. Especially with like the Forces of Destiny shorts, which are
mm,
canon and really fun, and I like to check them
I
out.
love those.
There was
Those
Oh my
are
god,
really good. They're
there's an
really
episode
overlooked.
really overlooked. There's an episode where I think Ahsoka joined Padme and Anakin on a mission. I don't know if you've seen that
Yes,
one.
I
So
love that
good
one.
because
Yeah.
Ahsoka
I
ends
just
up
love
helping
the
and then
art
like
style of it too.
it's so fun. It's really cute.
Mhm.
And like that's when you learn that like Ahsoka knows about Padme and Anakin, but she's like down to keep it a secret. It's really cool. I'm so excited to get through this. I
She
just really
says
need
their
to push through
child.
Clone Wars. Yeah. No,
I
I
love.
like and there's so many like little subtleties in like the relationships too. I'm sorry, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
yapping. I'm just so excited to do this. Like I've been dreaming about this literally for months, where it's like I've wanted to do it, but I've just never committed. But it's like we just got introduced to like Bo-Katan this season, and like
Mm,
she's gonna be a big player. And then there's like the Zillo Beast arc in season 2 is gonna be like
yes.
tying into like
Yeah.
Palpatine's return because he wants to clone and stuff, and that's gonna come up in Bad Batch, and it's just there's literally so much like interconnectedness, and I love that there's new stuff that's being introduced throughout the timelines because it's not like you're learning everything chronologically. I think that's the beautiful thing about Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like retroactive storytelling, I think is a
Yes.
lost art in a lot of
No,
ways.
I
Like
recently got onto my cousin's boyfriend about this because he has sat her down and is like, "Okay, we're gonna watch all the Star Wars movies." And she told me that he was doing this, so I was like, "Yes, finally." But he
Mhm.
started her off with the prequels for her very first watch through.
You should never do that.
That's what
Like
I said. I was
never
like,
do that.
"How?" Ugh.
I used
I
to
feel like with
Anyways.
Star Wars, like watching things, you can watch things chronologically, like you're doing, Logan. But I
Right.
think if
Right.
it's like someone's first time watching it, I feel like
Right.
release order
I
is
would
so
not
important
recommend
because,
it.
like,
Like for your
I
first time, you got to start with A New Hope.
Yeah.
yeah, because I feel like I'm reading the High Republic right now, and that's what I'm going to talk about in more detail in a minute. But like, release order is so important to the High Republic. Like, you
Mm,
can
Oh,
read
definitely.
like Phase 2 before Phase 1, but it's highly recommended reading it in the way that it was released. And
Hmm.
honestly, like, I don't get reading it chronologically. I think that it's so much better if you read by release order.
mhm.
It's the same way with watching the movies and the shows,
Right.
watching it in release
Right.
order. Because
Well,
like you said,
it takes you through the mystery of it in the correct way.
Yeah. But I
yeah,
think watching it chronologically after you've seen it in release order,
Yes.
watching it chronologically is cool because you get to experience it not like the way it's intended to, but like you're getting like a good overall picture of it. Like you're not
Right.
getting. And
yeah,
I think that's what's so cool about all the different projects and stuff is that I'm gonna be able to see the different. It's gonna be cool to see just like different stories from different perspectives because I think like Andor cuts into like Rebels and stuff. So like I'm gonna be jumping around between
Yeah.
them for a bit, and it's gonna be like bizarre to just it's such an expansive world, and you're gonna get like all these different takes and point of views and stuff, and you're gonna see like how the galaxy experiences the Empire and stuff. So
yeah.
very excited for that.
And you mentioned retroactive storytelling, Logan, and like to me, that's not bad. Like that gets a lot of flack from a lot of people that I know. Like everyone's like, "Oh, like somehow like this is the one that's just so fresh in my mind always."
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, like they're retroactively like explaining how Palpatine returned." But like you said at one time, Logan, I don't know if it was on a podcast like we published or
Lost to
one that was
the
either lost to the void or something,
vaporized.
the unknown regions, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you said this, and like I like how you put it. You were like, I really like that Palpatine's return was like a bombshell, and now we're kind of like going back and like exploring that a little bit more. And
Yeah.
it makes it creepier, it makes it eerier, and like that's not going to work for everybody. But I personally, and I know that you agree, it's
Totally.
so fascinating and it's so cool to kind of do that and like to have a story where you can do that. And
Yeah,
like it's
because
not even just like giant things like that. Sorry, Logan. It's not even
no,
like giant things like the Palpatine bombshell. It's also just
right.
like smaller stuff as well, like you mentioned. So it's like once
Yeah.
you've seen everything kind of like in release order, going back and revisiting it, retroactively you're going to be kind of like figuring stuff out as well. So I can imagine it's been
Yeah.
really, really fun.
Because
Mhm.
I like that, like, going on to the topic. I think it was a tweet that I mentioned actually. But I think if we had if we got the Palpatine return story chronologically, I guess, like where it was like set up and like foreshadowed over time, the sudden, the dead speak and stuff like that just doesn't hit as much because we knew that it was coming. And you can
Mhm.
argue that it's like a poor thing, like in terms of like marketing and stuff, but like I think that being like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine's back, cool. I guess he's here now. Like we didn't have any time to
Mhm.
prepare for that possibility. So now we have that information. So now it's all about going back and then being like laying the groundwork for it. Basically, it's like, okay, like here's like the little subtlety, like things that like, we're gonna leave for you throughout the history. Because like now, with the fact that it's canon, it's like these things were
Mhm.
always there, but
Yeah.
now we're just cluing you into that.
Right.
I think that that's like
And
a really interesting way to do it, especially if it's information as important as Palpatine coming back.
and to piggyback off of that, Hannah, I promise you'll have a chance to talk in a minute. I feel like every time you try to
I'm
like
gonna mute this
interject,
I
mic.
know.
I'm
Sorry.
like jumping. But like Hannah, you're gonna actually disagree with what I'm about to say. But like, oh man, I totally forgot what I was about to say, Logan. I totally forgot. It was like
Womp
right there.
womp.
Actually, no, wait. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I know what I was gonna say. I almost lost it. It scared me for a minute there. But I think that there's enough of an explanation in the Rise of Skywalker itself as to how Palpatine comes back visually, and even with what Balmont Kin says very briefly on Agent Kloss, to where he's like, "Oh, dark science, cloning, secrets only the Sith knew." Those are things that we also see in like the first 5 minutes of the movie. So to me, it works, and I just kind of accepted that choice and moved on. But
Mm.
I feel like the movie very much hinges on, do you accept that choice and
Right.
will you move on? And I think that that's a different story for a lot of people. Which if you don't, it's cool. But I think that you just going through everything and kind of like revisiting it all, like you know the story, you know what's gonna happen, but going back and like watching it all over again, like in order, dude, I cannot imagine how fulfilling that is, and you're gonna have to keep us updated on it as you go along.
I will be updating as we do these podcasts because I think it's gonna be really fun.
I
Oh,
have to
absolutely.
say, regarding the whole Palpatine thing,
Oh no.
Here
well,
we go.
this plays into the retroactive storytelling because I will say, here's where I think they fumbled the bag, is they should not have revealed that in any of the trailers or marketing. It should have been
I
like it
yes.
should have been a
That I
surprise to
agree.
everybody, and I think it would have hit differently when the movie initially came out. Because when the movie did come out, I will say I was really hyped for the movie until the last trailer came out, and then I was kind of like, "Oh, what's happening?"
What happened in the
And then
last
I thought
trailer?
it was kind of, well, maybe not the very last trailer, but the last few trailers. Whenever they started with the whole Palpatine thing, I was like, "Why are they bringing him back? Like this feels like a lazy
Hmm.
excuse type thing." But now that they've gone back in different media outlets and have started to explain it, now it kind of makes sense. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I don't hate it
Mm-hmm.
like I did before,
Yeah.
thanks to the storytelling. But I also feel like maybe I would have felt different off the bat if it wasn't part of the marketing. But that's just me.
I think that would have been really cool. I think that I've thought about that before too, and I think that like if they would have done that,
Mm-hmm.
that bombshell would have been crazy.
Well,
Like imagine like going in on opening night and you're just like immediately hit
yeah.
with that. I would
And
like
And it's not just a
that'd be
Star Wars
crazy.
problem. It's kind of a everything problem where the trailers give away too much information now.
I was gonna
Yeah,
mention,
I agree.
I talked about it today, literally like on Twitter, about how much I dislike leak culture and like plot details being revealed and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did not.
Because Rise of Skywalker came out, what, it was like the same week of like the Mandalorian finale, right? So like this is 2019.
Oh,
They
yes.
could have kept it a secret because like
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that they kept Grogu under wraps the entire production of Mandalorian up until that first episode dropped,
Mm-hmm.
they could have probably kept Ian McDermott being back a secret. And like imagine how absolutely insane that would have been,
Well, it's
but
like
It's
I
a
when the
agree, like
originals
it would
came
have been
out,
cool.
they weren't out there advertising that Vader was Luke's dad.
Right.
That was a
yeah.
big reveal moment. Like, what
Yeah.
happened to the big reveal moments?
Right. It's like
I
if they're
would
showing
argue it still has some, but that's also because I'm Rise of Skywalker's #1 fan.
Yeah.
Listen,
that's
if you
true.
if you agree with me, like I love it, we love to see it, but like I don't. Aside from maybe Hunter, who's not on the podcast right now, so I have no backup. I love that movie unapologetically, and I think The Last Jedi is the better of the two, but I think that like if you put a blaster to my head and you were like you gotta pick one, I might pick The Rise of Skywalker. I
That's
might.
insane.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
don't know,
I think I
but
enjoy that movie every time that I watch it. I enjoy it a bit more, you know?
I like how the
I
Yeah.
wish
discussion
I
also.
could
By the
relate.
way, it's okay, Hannah.
I have
Top
the
10 ways
opposite
to get kicked out
experience.
of my
I'm sorry.
podcast.
I
It's
haven't
okay.
watched it in a couple years, but I had tried to rewatch it and I was like, maybe if I just give it some time, I'll like it more. There's too many little things that just piss me off.
And like,
So
see
I can't.
that's what makes it fun though. Like, what's cool is like, even though you don't
He said
really
it's fun
like
because
it.
it's bad.
No, 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 no. You're putting words in my mouth,
Get
Logan.
him. No,
It's
I'm
crazy.
kidding.
Get out. No, I think that well, it makes the discussion so much fun whenever
Yeah.
you have someone that like a choice didn't work for someone and then it totally worked for someone else. Like
Yeah.
part of the reason why I like that movie so much is because it's so polarizing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the end of the saga and yet it's so polarizing, but like it
But
worked
is
perfect
it
for
though?
me. And to me, I think
Yes, it
that makes it
was.
more special. But I is it the end? We don't really know, but that movie's just special for me. But I like how the discussion's kind of like gone from like we're still talking about like what we're investing our time in with Star Wars, but like
Mm.
I also like this kind of discussion of retroactive storytelling that's kind of popped
Hmm.
up
Yeah.
as well. I think
Well,
it's super
Logan,
interesting.
to go back to the what are we interacting with in Star Wars, Logan reminded me that I have resumed my Star
Did I?
Wars Outlaws playthrough. So
Oh
that's what
yes.
I'm doing.
Nice.
Yes.
Although I
Uh,
will say maybe the past like week I haven't really touched it much, but that is because we've been having some extreme winter weather down here in Georgia. So I've been spending all my time in the cold at the barn prepping the horses. And then I get home and I'm tired, can't play the game. But I have been playing it again.
did you finish the story? Like, or are you like
No.
replaying it, or is it just like a you're
I was maybe about halfway through the story.
oh, what's
And
been going
then,
on?
well, I haven't really
Yeah, I
done
don't
much
want to.
with the story because I wanted to kind of do some side missions to make sure like I still got it before I
Yeah.
go with the story, But I think I'm ready to continue the story, you know. But I
What's been
So
remember
happening
good.
like the plot?
I
I
love
think
that
the
game.
last big thing that I had done before my little hiatus was the Lando thing. Where like
Uh,
where you meet him for the first time and he gives you that quest.
oh, on Akiva?
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That
So
was
that's
fun.
where
Dude,
I
I
had
need to
finished
replay
off.
Outlaws. So good.
It's so
That was
much
like the
fun.
last thing I did.
I kind of cheated the system to play it because I found out that you could get the Ultimate Edition for like quote unquote
Mm.
free with like the
Hmm.
Ubisoft Plus premium, and so I
Wait,
did
what did you
that.
call it?
It's like the is
How did you
is
just
it
pronounce that?
Mistakes were made, but we're gonna move past them, Logan. Okay, just like
call
with
it
the
Ubisoft?
deleted.
You. Oh
Is
my
that
God,
not what it's called?
No, it's Ubisoft.
It's Ubisoft. But you
Okay,
saying
well,
Ubi? Did y'all
With,
ever
with
watch
his full
the
chest.
show called Ubi and it was a little hand person?
the hands with the
Oh, is it
eyes.
the? Yeah.
I'm glad that in the middle of a Star Wars podcast, we've had a bonding moment of childhood
Shout out to
memories.
Ubi.
Shout out to Ubi,
Oh my God.
Ubi and Grandpoo.
Ubi and Jinky Minus.
What was the
Yeah.
song? I feel like it was like I don't remember it. This just brought back a memory.
I know it, but I don't want to sing it because I'll get flamed in the comments. I can already see it now. Like
Yeah.
Jacob's an awful singer. He should stick to chilling.
I think on Outlast though, the last thing I did recently, like last week, was I just got to Kajimi.
Oh, the Ishiga clan is
Yeah.
really cool.
Yes.
So like, who's like your least reputable syndicate, and why is it the Pikes?
Yeah, dude, I was
Yep.
about to say,
Bro,
like,
the Pikes are
they were
ops,
sending
bro.
death squads.
I feel like if like I don't know a single person whose top thing wasn't Crimson
I
Dawn.
feel like-
you know.
Crimson Dawn's the top
Drips
one.
and Dawn.
I go back and forth with the Huts, but I haven't gotten, maybe I have gotten to excellent with them. I can't remember. I'm good with them right now, but I'm like on the verge. But I feel like when you make decisions that make them not like you, for some reason, when you do that with the Pikes, it goes down way quicker than it does with the others.
They do have a lot of territory. I found,
Yeah,
especially on
they do.
What is it? What's the planet?
Tashara?
Tashara, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The thing I love though is that with Outlaws, there's infinite contracts, so you can always boost your reputation again,
Right.
like if it comes down to it. I
Yeah.
kind of want to see what happens because I have all excellent right now. I want to see what's gonna happen if I just like go all the way down to like poor with like or
Dude,
terrible in all of them.
Logan, you're gonna have like death squads sitting after
Yeah.
you, man.
Yeah.
That's how I am because my reputation's like excellent with all of them, and then the Pikes, it's like
Dang.
they're sending
They'll
Yeah.
squads
ass
after me.
kisser.
They're like, we hate this guy.
Dude, I love that Outlaws exists because it's so fun to just like, fast travel exists in that game and it's pretty quick and stuff. But I love just like walking on to the Trailblazer and just like taking off and flying out, and then I'll be like flying in like Tashara orbit, and then there'll be like the Pikes fighting the Empire, and I'm like, you know what? Let me help the Pikes real quick. Like you fight the Empire, then all of a sudden you have like the
do
wanted
get
level,
lost
then you
in
just
it
jump to
sometimes.
hyperspace. It's so fun.
Yes.
Do
Like, I'll
you
just
think?
get on, and I'm like, I
question.
should do a mission, and then I end up just wandering around.
we got a poll right here. Got a question for y'all.
Hit me with
Do
it.
we get the hype with ND5?
Yes.
Like, oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean.
yeah, sure.
Sure.
All right, glad,
Sure.
glad we're on the same page.
I get the hype.
I will say,
Yeah.
I think it's like the duster that he wears makes him look so cool.
It's his voice for me because it's like we know
Yeah.
what commando droids sound like, and we know that he doesn't sound like that, so that just elevates it.
Yeah,
Also,
What a
like,
man!
just
What a droid!
yeah.
he's so cool. Well,
It's cool that we're seeing like the separatist point of view in that game too, but I like him for that.
it is cool.
Yes.
Well, I will
Let's see,
say,
I just turned my game on. I'm apparently in the middle of a mission.
You're busting out the Xbox in the middle of a podcast.
she's
I
like,
had to
what if
check
I
where I was at.
played? What if I
Jeez,
played
if I just
Outlaws
play,
while
like,
we
a
do
thing,
it?
like, right now?
I'm literally in
Jacob,
the
what were
middle
you
of a
gonna
mission.
Good on you.
The people listening can't see this, but Hannah's like looking at her TV right now.
Yeah, her
and
face
she's like
is
locked
90 degrees
in.
off frame. Yeah.
Yeah, like the attention went. It was diverted from the podcast immediately
Well,
to
I was trying to
Outlaws.
figure out what I was on, but my
She's
light
looking
is
at her TV
reflecting
that
on
is
the
way
TV.
too high. Oh,
My
there
TV
you
is
go.
Of
not
course.
too high.
Hannah,
It is-
Your
I'm
TV
gonna
is way
put,
too high. Jacob,
Hannah, I'm
plug
gonna
the
put-
photo of Hannah's TV.
I'm gonna Hannah, I'm gonna post you on r/TV too high.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit for that. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I
we'll do a little height comparison.
she's
See?
trying
It's
to
not
to
that
defend
high.
Taller than you.
allegations.
Your TV should not be taller than you.
Well, I don't have
Let's
anywhere
do
else
it.
to put it. So it's
Well,
gonna
anyway,
Yeah, Jacob. How are you doing?
wow. Thank you, Logan. I appreciate it. No, it's cool because we're about to get so many different sides of Star Wars. Because whereas Hannah's playing Outlaws, and you are kind of like rewatching all of like the shows and the movies and stuff, I have actually been locked in to reading Star Wars books. So it started, I want to say like man, like early 2024. I found out that audiobooks were on Spotify, not sponsored,
Mm.
but that's like one way I listen to music. So I was like, I'm gonna check this out, and I found out that so many canon and legends books were on included like in the audiobooks on Spotify. So I decided to listen to Brotherhood by Mike Chen, which is a book about Anakin and Obi-Wan and the business on Cato
Oh, I want to read
Nemoidia.
that one.
It
Yeah,
it
it
takes
doesn't
place
count.
like right after
I
Attack
have
of the
that one.
Clones, but right before the
Haven't
Clone
read it
Wars
yet.
show.
Dang
It's
it! I
so
should have
good.
read it.
It's so good. It's a great story that I actually just uploaded a review of on the channel. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'm gonna hit that
Shameless
plug real
plug.
quick.
Shameless
Plug
plug.
indeed. But it started with that book, and then I listened to a couple more, like Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray, Padawan by I think it's Kirsten White. Apologies if I get that wrong. I'll put it the right one in the description. But they were just so good. And so I started buying physical copies. I read some Legends, like the Thrawn trilogy. So I've been like really, as of like early last year, locked into Star Wars books. And in December, because I'd kind of gotten busy and took a break from it, in December, I got really sick and I couldn't do anything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get through every canon book by like summer 2025. I think I can
That's
do it if I
insane,
start
dude.
now. So I'm starting in timeline order, in chronological order. So
Here
I'm
you go.
doing
You
the
can
High
help me out
Republic
with this.
first. So yeah, honestly, I'm doing like the part
Yeah,
of your rewatch that you're not
that I'm
doing.
not
Like
doing. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, but
we
I'm
need Hunter to
starting with
cover the comics.
then we'll just have all of it between all of us. Like
Right.
Yeah.
we'll just know everything, you know.
We'll put together a
But
PowerPoint. Yeah.
like I started with the High Republic, so I finished phase 1, finished phase 2. I'm on phase 3 right now. I have about 2 more books left and I'll be completely caught up, which I'm really excited. And then I'm going to hop into I think like the prequel books, so like Queen's Shadow, Queen's Peril, like the Queen's
Mm.
trilogy about
I need to
Padme
read the
Dooku,
Padme
right?
books.
Sabe,
Jedi Lost.
and then Dooku Jedi Lost I'm going to listen to because that's actually a script. It's like an audio drama.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Ooh, I
So
didn't know
they're
that.
really good. I did not think that the Star Wars audio dramas were going to be my thing because like I'm so locked into books and audiobooks that whenever I found out about audio dramas, I was like, is this really going to be like for me? But I
Mm.
have to say, the ones I've listened to, absolutely phenomenal. So good. The production quality is insane. It's literally like you're listening to a movie. It's kind of
Mm.
unreal because
That's
I've
cool.
Does it
listened to the High
have like?
Republic ones and they've been great.
Does it have like action lines and stuff? Like, does it tell you like if someone walks in the, or is
So
it just like purely
no,
audio?
it's purely audio. It's got the
Oh,
Star Wars music. It's got sound effects. If someone walks in, you'll hear like footsteps or something, or like
that's so cool.
it's a full cast, so it's different people playing different characters. It's actually really
Oh,
cool.
that's
So I'm
good.
Mhm.
excited to listen to the Dooku one, because I know that a
I
lot of
know
familiar
I
characters
listened
are in that one.
to the audiobook for Heir to the Empire, but it was just the one guy doing voices for everybody. He
Right.
does
Yeah,
do a good job for most of them. There's just clearly a disconnect when a guy is trying to voice Leia.
Oh yeah. No.
yeah.
But they do add in like music and some sound effects and stuff too, so
Yeah.
it is
I have
That's
pretty good.
the I have the audiobook for Light of the Jedi, and it's the same thing where it's like, there's music, there's like
Mhm.
blaster sound effects, which is like sick and stuff, but like
Yeah.
this guy, like when he's like doing Avar Chris's voice, it's just so funny to me, like listening to it. And Jake, I'm sure you can also vouch for that. Like
I was about to
they're
say
real
like it's
funny.
the same. It's the same
She
thing.
sound like
Yeah. I
In
do
those
want to try to
books.
listen to those audio dramas though. It sounds interesting.
it
They're
does.
really good. But I'm kind of like, as much as I love the High Republic, I'm really excited to kind of like move on to like the prequels, Clone Wars era. I'm really excited for like the pre Empire slash Reign of the Empire
Mm.
era because like
Hmm.
that has like the Thrawn books, the Ahsoka book is in that, which I've
Lost
heard
Stars.
amazing things about.
Mm.
Lost Stars,
Lost
I've heard
Stars.
also great things about.
I
I'm
had that
really
book.
excited to kind of go
Oh,
through them.
and the Kanan and Hera book, A New Dawn.
That was
Oh, I
the
forgot about that.
first canon book that came out, I think, in like 2014.
14, yeah.
There's two books. I think one's called Lords of the Sith, and it's like a Palpatine and Vader story. And there's another one called like Heir to the Jedi,
Yeah.
and it's about Luke. And those books were legends, but they had to kind of make them canon. So I'm interested to read those because I'm interested to see if there's like
Discrepancies.
legends. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
excited to read those and just kind of go through, but it's been really fun. And I'm making a video about this. So if you're listening to this now and you want to hear me more talk about my Star Wars book experiences and why I think that people should read these books, I'm working on a longer video that should hopefully be out by this weekend. So I'm hoping that you guys can see it then. But I'll just kind of like say this quickly because I think we've kind of been talking for a while. So to kind of quickly round out what I've kind of been investing with Star Wars, it's one of those things that's like when you read Star Wars books, one, you're gaining knowledge about characters and eras that maybe you could only really know or experience by reading those stories. So it's been really fulfilling all the way through, just kind of reading all of these. On top of that, the people who are very vocal about hating every new Star Wars thing, the grifters that you probably already can imagine or know just by me saying that, they're not going to waste their time reading a Star Wars book. Now, they are going to hate watch whatever is new, but they're not going to waste their time on a book, or at least
They're not gonna
most
hate
of them
read.
are not. That also implies that some of them can read, but like, I don't know, I digress. But it's one of those things where they're not going to waste their time on it. So the people actively reading the books and talking about the books on forums and stuff online are people that genuinely want to read those stories and care about those stories. So it's really cool because everyone talks about how there's a lack of respectfulness within the Star Wars fandom, especially on Twitter. And what's really cool is that on the book side of things, you don't really see that as much. And so it's been
Well,
really kind of nice talking with people about these characters and these stories, specifically the High Republic, to where you're not going to have these people just like saying these ludicrous things and just hating on it because
can I
they
say
can't, because
something
they don't
shady?
know
Right.
it. So it's been really kind of fulfilling for that reason alone too. But if you don't read Star Wars books or if you're not a heavy reader, I highly recommend getting back into that habit because it's been really fun for me personally. And as a Star Wars fan, it's been also very fulfilling. I feel like I've said that a lot, but I really
And
can't say it
it's
enough.
so rewarding to finish a book, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like the thing is like with a lot of the shows and stuff, um, you know, it's like you finish it and then it's like, you know, like you feel that sort of like story come to a close. But like with a book, there's like a real good sense of accomplishment. It's like you did that, you know? So I think that that's why
Yeah.
like the books are so like
This is
so
what I
so
was like.
cool to get into, you know?
Could I say something shady about the bad Star Wars fans
By all
Yeah,
means.
don't name drop
regarding the book?
anybody.
No, no name dropping. It's just an overall statement because you said there is a lack of respect on the online community, but there's not that for the people that read the books because I think there's also a lack of literacy.
I
Mhm.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I
There's a
So
I did
crisis.
it's
I
not
didn't want
so
to say
much
it at
that
first, but you're right.
they're just they're not gonna read it because like anybody can sit down and watch a show, but not
Yeah.
everybody's gonna sit down and really be able to take in reading a book and understand
Enough
everything that's
to rift
happening.
about it. Yeah.
And if it's not literacy, it's definitely comprehension, you know? Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to sound like I'm gatekeeping these books because that's not the point of me saying this. I'm just saying that, like, you're absolutely right because the people that are saying these things online, they typically, if you kind of talk that way online, I can imagine that you're going to talk that way in real life
Mm-hmm.
and act that
Mhm.
way in real life. And I can't see people like that reading books. The people that I knew like that growing up definitely did not read books.
Right.
So I guess there's that part of
Well,
it
and it's
too. So
like
you're
if you're gonna
absolutely
complain
right.
about something that's further expanded upon in the book, and somebody tells you, "Oh, well, it's actually in this book. Why don't you go read it?" I'm not gonna read the book. Well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like some of them
But
do read
anyways,
books, but it's the same books that they've already read over and over again.
It's Heir to the
It's like
Empire.
it's that's
Like,
it. And
yeah.
like my hottest take is that Heir to the Empire isn't even my favorite out of that trilogy. My favorite out of that trilogy is Dark Force Rising. But that's a
So
whole other conversation for another time. Once I'm done with all of the canon stuff by hopefully summer, there's a lot more Legends books. And I want to read all of Legends too.
Mhm.
So I'm going to try starting in the summer. If I'm done with all of the canon books, which I'm a pretty fast reader, so I think I can be. If I'm
That's insane.
done at the start of the summer with all of the canon books, I'm going to start with Legends and start with all the Old Republic stuff and just work my way through, which I think could be really fun. And that way, by the end of the year, or maybe early 2026, I can be like, oh yeah, I've read all of canon and Legends, which that might be a super ambitious goal. It
That's
might
gonna
be
That is
too
be.
a
ambitious,
flex.
but
You could
like,
put
we'll
that
see.
on a resume.
My friend
Yeah.
has done it. My friend has
Oh
done
my
it, and
god.
he's giving me tips. So Dan, shout out to you. I don't know if he's read all of Legends, but I think he's read most of it. So, Dan,
Centralized?
if you're listening, Star Wars Centralized, yeah, Dan, if you're listening to
The
this,
goat.
shout out to you.
Yeah.
You're a great friend and a great help kind of getting through all of this. But again, I think it's cool because, like I said earlier, when I kind of transitioned into what I was talking about, it's cool because like Hannah, you've been playing a lot of the games, specifically Outlaws, and just kind of like really being invested in that and those characters and that story and progressing through and doing all the side quests and the main quests and stuff.
Yes.
Logan, you've just been watching everything
Soon
over
to be
again,
playing.
soon to be playing as well. And so it's cool because like you're kind of like getting that recontextualization of certain things within the saga just across the board. And I've very much been kind of diving into the books and stuff while we all kind of wait for Andor, which I'm very excited about season 2 of Andor
Hmm.
in
I'm
just a few months, which
hype.
is crazy to say.
I'm silently hype. I
But
haven't talked about it much online, but I'm hype.
I know I need to transition out
it's
of
so
Skeleton Crew
good.
and into Andor
Yeah.
mode, but I'm just so in love with Skeleton Crew. It's like I don't want to leave it behind just yet.
I don't want it
And
to be
that's
over,
the
but it
last thing.
is.
I'm glad you said it because like Skeleton Crew is one of those things that just kind of unified the fandom for the first time in a long time, I think.
Yeah,
Because
I would
there
agree with
was
that.
hate for Skeleton Crew, but like there was
I saw none
way
of it,
more
to be honest.
love.
I didn't
There
see
was
Yeah.
it.
so much more love, and the hate that I saw was exponentially forced, and like
Hmm.
it never really got a lot of likes or anything like that. So it's really cool having a show that once again kind of unified the entire fandom and brought us kind of together, which I think is really
And
cool.
not
So
only that, but all of the kids are like phenomenal actors.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
They did a wonderful job.
they
Yeah.
really did. But
It's like I don't even have anything to talk about with Skeleton Crew because I have like
Yeah.
I've already said so much positives about it where it's like I feel like there's nothing new for me to even add to it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
depending on when this podcast drops, I may or may not have my thoughts uploaded onto the channel. So I'm going to hit my second shameless plug
Second shameless plug.
while
You
on
got
the
one
podcast.
more, buddy.
One more, 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah.
No, but I guess now is kind of a good time to kind of wrap things up a little bit since we've all kind of talked about what we've enjoyed about Star Wars lately
True.
and how we're all still engaging with it, even though there's not really much new stuff aside from Skeleton Crew. But we've got a lot of new stuff coming in 2025 in terms of Star Wars, which I'm very excited about, and I know that everybody else is excited about too. But thank you guys so much for joining me on the first episode of this. It's been really fun just kind of talking about Star Wars. And I like the new format to where we can just
Yes.
kind of talk about whatever and
Mhm.
kind of jump around, but it all still kind of connects. You know what I mean? So I think
guess
that
you
that
could
kind
say
of
It
made
that
should
it
be.
worthwhile.
our conversations are like Lightspeed skipping where we just bounce around and stuff.
Hey,
Wow.
that's what the podcast should be called, Lightspeed Skippers.
There you
I-
go. Because
Well,
we just
you've already named it something too.
yeah, we already had the name
We
of the title, so
have-
we gotta
I
stick
guess-
with it.
Rebrand.
We
number
have to
2.
stick with it.
All right, if this inevitably fails, we'll just start up a third one called Lightspeed
The-
Skippers.
The podcast
Mhm.
is just something, it's titled something
Yeah.
new every single time. So like nobody knows what the podcast is actually called except for us. It's like Yoda's species, only George Lucas knows what it is. But I guess just real quick, let's just say where you can find us and we'll kind of sign off and go from there. So Hannah, I'll let you go first. Where can the good people listening to this podcast find you?
Joy. You can find me at Spidey Gal Hannah on Instagram or Spidey Gal Solo, I think everywhere else. So yeah, that's me.
Cool deal. And Logan?
You're gonna find me on Twitter at Loganacio, Lognacio. I'm almost at 1,000 followers. I'm at like 950 something. So get me over
Good.
there because I want the
Go follow
arbitrary internet
Logan.
points. Yeah. Also
And
TikTok. LOGAN. I don't post there, but I'm there.
it's not banned, so they can find you there.
Yeah.
After all, I guess to find me, if you're already listening to the podcast, you're already listening to it on the channel. So thank you so much for listening here. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until the next podcast episode, may the force be with you all. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.